The final video from 1 Kings before we move next week into 2 Kings is don't waver. That's not hand waving, and this comes out in 1 Kings chapter 18 verse 21. And Elijah stood in front of them all, that's the people. I've shared this in a previous video, where he stood amongst them with the 2 altars on the mountain, and God breathed fire on Elijah's but not on the false prophets. And here's the words that Elijah said: "How long will you waver, hobbling between 2 opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal," that's the stone god, "is God, follow him." And so he's saying you can't follow both. You've either got to believe, you've got to either say Lord is God or Baal is, and that's who you follow. And you know, we waver in our life with business and our careers and our churches. We say one day, I'll trust God today. Tomorrow, I'll trust myself today. The next day, I'll trust the dollar or the share market. The next day, I'll trust some vague idol after that. My own possessions that I've gained, my title, all the things I've gained. But that type of uncertainty leads to instability and certainly to destruction, because we're up and down like a yo-yo. And if God is the central focus, you trust him each day, he will take care of tomorrow and he will lead us with ideas and thoughts, because he said, I'm doing new things all the time and I will give you new ideas. You've only got to read Isaiah, and we'll get to that in a few books' time. If you're going to trust in the dollar or the share market, man, you're going to be up and down in despair. And if you're going to trust some vague idol, which is stone, made out of stone or wood, what is that going to be able to do? It just sits there and does nothing. Where God is able and says he wants to be part of our life, to guide and lead us and teach us and give us a vision that brings satisfaction, that brings direction, and that gives life and business with a purpose. So God showed them that day who was the true God, because the fire beamed down and took up that sacrifice, and it didn't for the false one. So we've got to decide, number one, what do you want your business to be? Just try and make money and get by, or to actually prosper in that business, in relationships and financially, and building that to see people's life change. Number two, you've got to decide what you want your church life to be. You can't turn up occasionally. You need to be engaged there and use your talents and resources to be able to help other people and connect with other people and honour God there. Number three, you need to decide what sort of life you want. If it's about manipulating and getting everything you can, or manipulating other people around, that's not going to end up well, and it's not going to end up well for them or you or your family. And we need to decide if we want a life with a purpose. There's so many lessons out of these videos that actually help us to start the journey and to rethink how we're running our businesses, how we're involved in our church, and how we're engaged with our family. So next week we'll move to 1 King or 2 Kings, and it doesn't get necessarily any better with some of the kings, in that chapter, but there's some great kings that come through who are younger and actually show the way for everyone else that's been before them and in the future.